Welcome back to Founders in the Field, the show where we go behind the scenes with agency leaders, consultants, and creative founders to show you how they're building, scaling, and staying sane in the trenches. I'm your host, Stefan Bradley, and today I'm joined by Aimee Romero, who is the founder and CEO of Love and Science. How are you doing, Aimee?
Doing great. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Let's dive straight in. For people who don't know your story, take us right back to the beginning and what sparked your journey and what made you start your own business.
Yeah, so I am not a person who I thought was an entrepreneur. Never thought about myself that way. Like looking back in time, it's like, yeah, I guess maybe I was an entrepreneur. When I was a kid, I actually sold flipping people. I read a book on karate and I learned how to flip somebody over my back. And I like stood in the front yard, would sell like you could come pay me $1 and I'd flip you over my back. So I think that's actually pretty entrepreneurial at the end of the
Yeah.
day. But I was pretty happy to work. I like solving problems. I like getting into the weeds. I started my work life in agencies, mostly because it was kind of a blend of like creativity and math, which is, fast forward, love and science, kind of the two things that I do well. I found myself getting super frustrated working in agencies. I felt like they weren't marrying those two things very well. So I ended up at this agency. It was a really good company, a lot of cool people. We had great clients and projects, but I just kept bumping my head against stuff. Had to hear things like that I had an authority problem, which is a weird thing to hear when you're an adult in like a career. Eventually this dude comes and he like assesses the organization. He's like an M&A guy, and he gave them a few things to do to work on. One of the things that he suggested was that they give me a department. But at the time I had a lot of clients. I was producing a lot, and they were like, hey, you can have 10% of your time to pursue what you think is important. And at that point, I was just like, I'm taking 100% of my time to pursue what I think is important, and I just left. Still a great company. They were really cool. I couldn't say enough good things about them, but it's hard to be an entrepreneur inside of an organization. It's just kind of a thing that happens. So that's what got me started.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So you kind of was working in an agency, and then they basically told you how good you were, and then you were like, "Yeah, I'm not waiting around to hear it again. I'm off. I'm gonna try and spread my wings, basically, and use your
Yeah.
ability to your own advantage." That's cool.
Yeah, on some level, that's true. I mean, it was really just about like, I just saw that I wanted things to go a different way. Like you would see the problem and say, this is a problem, I can solve this.
Yeah,
But you couldn't because the organization, it just wouldn't let you. Not because they didn't care about problems, but I am very frustrated when I see a better way. Like optimization is the thing that we do all day, every day. And it just was, it was just tough.
yeah, sure, sure. So is it advertising, marketing, or is it all the things that you do in Love and Science? Can you just give us a little overview of
Yeah.
your company?
Yeah, so we're really brand strategy. We do basically all of what you just said, but if you don't start at the top from that perspective of brand, you hit ceilings. And if my entrepreneurial journey isn't a tell, I don't like ceilings at all. None of us do. So when you come in advertising, like yes, we can solve, we can improve, we will optimize whatever you have. But a ceiling to advertising success is brand. Like you're not saying the right stuff to the right people. You can only go so far. So optimization is kind of like number two. So it's brand strategy, creative ideation, and optimization, and that is essentially what we do. And we may use a number of different tools to do it. We are a premier partner with Google, which is top 3% in North America. So we're very good at advertising, but we still, we'd prefer clients not come to us to be like, we have an SEO problem or we have an advertising problem. Like, we like the sticky problems. We like to know you're trying to do X and we'll help you figure out how to do that.
Yeah, so like solutions really, they're trying to get to here, and then you'll work out all in the weeds of how you're actually going to get to there.
Exactly.
So, what does your role look like today as a founder and CEO of Love and Science, and how has it shifted since you started?
I think one of the interesting things about starting a business when you do work is, everybody wants to tell you to work on the business instead of in the business. And I have stupidly, over the years, here and there, took that advice, which pretty much leads to my immediate unhappiness and like the business not doing as well as it could. So, my big thing that I do is I solve problems consultatively. That also equals sales, basically, though I would never necessarily call myself a salesperson. But my big thing is meeting people, hearing people's problems, and helping them to solve those problems. That generally leads to work. And I would say that's probably the greatest thing that I can offer the organization. But being an entrepreneur, you still get stuck with weird stuff too, solving billing problems and all that junk.
Yeah. So, would you say you yourself is still the driving force behind it, like closing the deals with clients and helping them realize where they need to be and what they need to do to get to where they need to go?
That initial thing, yes, but I've got a team of just like incredibly brilliant people. Everybody sort of has their own specialty, but overall, very smart, a team of very smart people who have done the work. So we can define those solutions, identify things, pivot rapidly, come up with myriad solutions that we know are going to work because we actually know how to do the work. So I will start that conversation a lot of the times. Most of the time I will likely close the deal, but sometimes along the road I'll bring the team in early because they're all just, really awesome.
They've all got their own special sort of talents and special things that they do in the business, I suppose, depending on what the problem is that the clients come to you with, is depend on who you pull in to help you do the job.
Yeah, we do a lot of things collaboratively. We just have a wide kind of range of expertise. But we'll generally talk about every client and hash out what the best thing to do for that client is together. And then, the actual work, the way the work flows may change or shift based on, what we decide to do.
Yeah. No, that's cool. So it's a collaborative effort from basically all of you per client. So it's very personal touch, I would say.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Amy, what major trends are you seeing in brand strategy or digital experience, especially where behavioral science meets performing marketing?
Man, I don't know if these are trends as much as like just the way it has always been. I would like to flip some trends a bit. So one of the things that I notice a lot in brand strategy is it's navel gazing rather than navigating. And I hate that. Again, it's a ceiling. So you go spend a bunch of money with somebody and you end up with a slick deck that made you feel really good and nobody knows how to apply it. It doesn't change anything about what you're doing or how you behave. That's a trend that I would like to see end. I think the other trend that I'd like to see end is a lot of times people will tell startups that brand strategy is not number one. Like, do that after you're doing okay. But I believe like fully that brand strategy creates efficiency and efficacy where it doesn't exist. I think that it's not, and it shouldn't be like stamping something out and now it's, it's the 10 Commandments written in stone. But it is a directional indicator that will help you not to waste a bunch of extra energy around the fringes. Like our little system basically starts with that like definition, but it ends in a place that we call like the grow phase. And that is a combination of optimizing and ideating. Because you don't ever want to be still or static. And if you optimize, you decrease without ideation. So you need to add new things into that system all the time. So I think people who want to start a new business and they're experimenting, they may think that brand strategy is like a thing to do later. But some of the basic principles, if you get them right or you have a sense of what you think they are, it will get you to where you're going a heck of a lot faster. So I would say that. And then on the performance marketing side, I get mad when people talk about like, demand gen or, performance or precision marketing because I think it leaves out the love side. everybody's brains are like analytical and automatic. We have both of those things. People react to visuals and impressions. They don't only act the way numbers would indicate. And your best possible opportunity is when those things are properly aligned. You know, behavioral science, all of that kind of indicates like this is the way people generally act, but a lot of the way they act is irrational. So you're like mapping things out in this way that is like both logical but also irrational. And precision or performance marketing to me is the focus too tight on the optimization when you need that experimentation. So if we've got somebody who comes to us and they don't want to waste anything, like what they don't typically see is they're wasting opportunity. So they may be getting super tight, but they're missing all of this opportunity because of their tunnel vision on a very specific performance metric that maybe needs to be reimagined or re-examined, or maybe it needs to be siloed so that we have space for experimentation and real growth. Performance marketing, in my opinion, is not something that you do when you're in the middle of trying to grow.
Okay. So would you say that's better later on or before?
I think it's a combo, that it should always be only part of the story. If it's not, you know, things will change. Like your audience will change and shift over time. If you're growing as an organization and you're responding to changes in the market, changes in technology, it means that what you're doing on the marketing side will necessarily change. Competitors come in, things adjust. And you must adjust along with those things. And in a perfect world, you adjust ahead of those things. And if you can do that, you know, I wouldn't label that performance marketing. Making sure that you're optimizing what you're doing so you don't have a lot of like wasted spend. Like just to use an ads like specific example, is you might be targeting a thing and you've got all this like stuff that has nothing to do with what you're doing that is getting triggered by that target. Like that would be something that you should optimize away from. You should figure out what the negative keywords are that will cut off this completely wasted spend. That's not opportunity spend, that is actual waste. So from that perspective, you want to optimize, you don't want to waste your time. But we always are running experimental things or tests alongside of like the producer campaign, because at some point one of these other things will produce at a level akin to or like on a trajectory that will take you somewhere beyond what this like performance campaign will do.
Yeah, so testing is a big thing in love and science by the sounds of it. Like even though you might have something that's working, you're always trying to test, optimize to be able to go to that next level.
Yeah, it's all about ideas, maintaining ideation. If you get too far on the other side, like you're really screwed. Yeah. I often say like check your expertise at the door, or experts need not apply, because that is like the way to close your mind. You know, everybody's working so hard on opening their mind. You've got all these entrepreneurs microdosing, trying to make sure that they're not stuck in a rut. And then you've got all these people asking you to stick yourself in a rut, you know, and they don't even understand that the rut that they're creating is actually going to pinch them off. So it's just very important to maintain an open mind, creativity, to think big. If you look at least US-based, I was thinking about, you know, Japan, they'll have a company for 300 years making knives. It changes very little. In the US, companies that last longer than 100 years, they typically are not doing what they started out doing. And that, again, is where I love brand strategy, because they're good at something. They take the materials that they're good at and they point it at new problems. And that is how you like continue to grow infinitely versus like until the market dries up. You find the next opportunity, you point your skill set, your ability at that next opportunity, and you can just keep going forever.
Yeah, no, adjusted definitely to the market and what the market says and how it's changing in the market trends and things like that is obviously key.
Sure.
So, Aimee, what's working really well in love and science right now, and where do you still feel slight friction even with strong systems in place?
I love our creative collaboration. We have really trained ourselves to ideate kind of on the fly and at will. So we, I guess, have courted the muse, if you could say that. And we're doing some really interesting things. So like this last maybe 18 months or so, we've started creating our own brands or partnering with brands rather than being like hired by brands. So we kind of have almost like our own little startup studio. That is going really well. It's very interesting, fun, creative work. So that's pretty awesome. Friction, I would say friction for us usually comes from, we don't have a ton of friction, but the friction that we feel generally has to do with like administrative stuff, where's this thing, where's that thing, trying to like make sure that everybody can move as fast as their brains are moving by supporting them with, files and stuff like that.
Sure. So, Aimee, I just want to zoom in on your sales process at the moment, your pipeline at the minute. What parts of your sales process still rely on manual input from the team or you?
I mean, we don't really have a defined sales process, and there isn't really a lot of like manual anything that I can think of. We have like a little system of what happens once it's time for a proposal, but usually what's happening is we've got clients just coming to us because so and so told them we were good, or they worked with us at another company, or whatever. And it's very like relational. We don't need a ton of clients, and we don't have a ton of clients. So that kind of like deeper relationship thing is basically how it works. And then we construct a statement of work or a proposal based on conversation, understanding what their problems are. And that's kind of it. They sign it and we start working.
Yeah. And do you have like systems in, because I've seen on your LinkedIn it says how much you love optimization systems. Do you have a system? I'm guessing you have a system in place for things like that.
I mean, we use Drive, and that's pretty much it. Drive, Basecamp.
Do you have campaign wins, client results, or stories that could be repurposed and just aren't being fully repurposed and getting the most value out of that content? Or would you say that you're getting all the value, all the use out of all the content that you have?
We've done almost nothing with like revealing the work that we do. We'll periodically go and calculate a bunch of things so that we have a few metrics, real metrics. But we don't do much by way of like case studies or showing what we've been working on, really at all.
Is that intentional?
No, we just don't get to it. It's really hard for us to focus on ourselves because we're just very focused on the work that comes in and what is getting us excited at any given time. It is a little different, like with the brands and partner brands. So those are things that are like, relatively public. I think one of the things that stops me from putting together like client work is just like client approval, asking them. I don't even want to ask them. I just want to keep going about my business. Mm-hmm. So like the construction of that stuff just takes a long time. The way you want to present it takes a long time. I don't know. It's not like we decided specifically not to show our work, but we're definitely not actively working on showing our work.
Yeah, sure. And are you leveraging AI at all in any of these systems?
We use AI a lot, very, very heavily, but I would not say it's really system-wide. Everybody sort of leverages it in every possible way they personally can think of. But we don't have any sort of like AI specific systems with the exception of like, Gemini and Drive.
Yeah, sure. I would say like with the content repurposing, like capturing your wins and things like that, there's obviously AI systems that could obviously review all of that and churn that type of thing out. I'm not talking about like creating new content because obviously you guys do a lot of stuff like that and a lot of people think that it's not up to standard, but I mean it's getting the content that you've already got, your testimonials, your wins, your case studies, and then repurposing that could get a lot of value out of that. Just a little.
Yeah, I'd have to figure out how to give it the inputs it would need.
Yeah,
that's
sure.
Kind of hard.
There's workflows that can just kind of you give it to it and it'll just send it to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. But yeah, zoom out a little bit now.
Sure.
How have you structured your team to deliver consistently across such a diverse client mix from VC-backed tech or higher ed?
I've structured it in the laziest way that I possibly can, which is finding the right people. And when I first started, and we still work with family a lot, but when I first started, the second hire was my brother. And a big part of that for me was recognizing what my strengths are not. So I don't know how to manage people at all. And I'm also extremely uninterested in managing people. So I've worked really hard to identify people who don't need to be managed. I think that's everybody's dream. The team is small, and I think if we grew much, it would matter a lot more. But very, very highly motivated people. I actually recently looked at all of our disc profiles, and we all have the same disc profile. So we're all really driven, really interested in excellence. We're going to kind of manage ourselves, internal locus of control. We do drink our own Kool-Aid on some level. We have some pretty specific core values that it is really important to me that anybody that joins the team really has. And I mean, a couple of them are think like a CEO. We have honest optimism. We have just things that are going to kind of support the internal locus of control is actually a core value. It's that important. If somebody does not have that, it's just not going to work at all. That's kind of how I've figured it out, is just relying heavily on really awesome people who think a certain way and act a certain way.
Yeah. So being very specific on who you hire would be one of them, definitely, to
Yes.
add value to your team, I suppose. And with you saying you hired your brother because you didn't want, to manage people, that's just when you're an entrepreneur, you're able to hire the people to do the things that you don't want to do, and you don't find that good with your time. So I think that's really good. I think that's exactly what you should be doing.
Yeah, hiring my brother was about knowing what makes him tick. It was a shortcut. I didn't have to go do a bunch of interviews to figure out, is this person the kind of person that I can trust and that will care enough. I knew it already, so that shortcut of hiring brothers. I hired my other brother as well. He still works with us, but he also started his own business because we are truly all cut from the same cloth, in the most complete way that can happen. Besides me cloning myself, we are. I know what they're all about, and they have really delivered for me over the years. And they're not the only people on the team, but it's been really great to have that kind of shortcut.
Yeah, definitely a cheat code there, 100%.
Yes, exactly.
Aimee, are there parts of your agency IP, frameworks, methodologies, results that you're thinking about turning into productized assets or internal tools?
I think that we have sort of a universal framework. It's common sense, but it is find, expose, persuade, leverage, grow. That framework we really apply to everything that comes in. We do it automatically and very efficiently. It doesn't matter what type of project or engagement it is. We will hit those points. I've thought about maybe creating a workshop that anyone could join to either solve their own problems, start a business, learn how to work better with their partners or agencies, that kind of help to work through that framework. Because I genuinely believe it can be applied to just about any problem. And again, it's just such common sense, it almost seems ridiculous to say. But I could see that potentially being extracted in some way that could be productized.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And you can even I know I'm saying about AI as well, but this is kind of what I do, but you can even put that and feed that into a certain LLM and have that come out as its own agent type of thing that things speak to and stuff like that. So it's definitely future proof, that is.
Yeah, we have. I've been trying to get my team to look at doing this thing that's probably weird, but I would like to replace my website with just a chat
Yeah.
like bar,
Yeah.
and just load in literally 13 years of problems, solutions, documentation, email chains, everything, and just see if people can use it to solve their own problems.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, we get so hardcore about defining the problem and then explaining what we're going to do about it and why. I think that it would be fun to do that, but we'll see.
Yeah. And definitely, like, that would had a hell of a lot of value, excuse me. I would a heck of a lot of value 13 years if you plugged all of that into the AI to be able for people to answer. But I did go on your website earlier and there was kind of like a chat thing on there, like a chat GBT kind of maybe a custom GBT or something that was on there, and it said some
We have
gossip.
so many weird things that we've published and done.
Yeah.
We're currently making a physical box to play this like pink noise generator that we created using AI, that doesn't connect to the internet and that will last for 70 hours. Like, so, because we're really, I mean, we use technology a lot, so we are always trying to figure out how not to use technology and how to tell everybody to stop it, you know? So, like, don't bring your phone in your room, like, all this stuff. Like, I'm wearing these because I am, like, convinced that Bluetooth will fry my brain.
Yeah, sure.
We don't, like, personally use, like, none of us personally use social media, like, that kind of deal. So we're always, like, taking those little ideas and moving them forward. We just launched the Wordle Warlock, which is like we didn't use AI really at all for that. We've been using AI to update it, but that's just like straight math, algorithms, logic, and just our personal, like, design. But you might have seen something. We have made custom GPTs. If you found the custom GPT I'm thinking of, we're going to have to go scrub our website because we decided that wasn't good for public consumption.
I won't say any more
I'll have to,
about it then.
yeah, I'll have to make sure it's not actually
I
public.
just went on your LinkedIn and it was the website and it came up with like the different things. Sorry.
No worries.
No, cool. Anyway, so Amy, where do you want the agency to be in 12 to 18 months from now, both from a growth standpoint and in terms of your own role as a CEO?
I have a grand vision. I don't know if we'll get there in 18 months. We're already sort of there, just not like fully there. But what I'd like to do, so one of the things that makes us good at what we do is the fact that we are very strategic and creative, but we do things. We actually do stuff. I don't want to lose execution because I genuinely believe that our strategy and creativity will be sort of destroyed by a lack of understanding of application. So what I've been doing, it's part of why I created this, like, that little startup studio. Props to my buddy Paul McNeil for telling me that name. I was just doing it. I didn't know it was called a startup studio. But part of the reason we did that was because we wanted to be able to execute low pressure. So our team, our, like, brain trust, for lack of a better term, can execute fully from zero to launch by ourselves with our own skills. When we do stuff like that, we use whatever tool is new. We don't have like a system where it's like, oh, we always use X or we always use Y. We like to use new things and learn new things as we go. So that is like a big piece of it for me. The clients that we work with, I would like to lean more heavily into the consultative realm with clients. I want clients who are innovative, interested in blind spots, interested in solving sticky problems, more than I want clients who just want to, like, do like a monthly SEO engagement.
Yeah.
I care very much about people needing the kind of monthly stuff, but what I'd like to do is continue to develop almost on the side the executioners, like this agency of executioners, where we still have some oversight. A lot of times what happens with agencies is You get like a couple of smart people, they start something, they're really good, and everyone below them sucks. And it just becomes this horrible thing where they just don't deliver excellence anymore. I only care about excellence. I care about the excellence more than I care about anything else. So I'm hoping that we can kind of construct this sort of side agency of executors where there's like mentorship and like stewardship and strategic oversight to help make sure that those folks are growing and allowed to be as good as they want to be, rather than kind of like squished into sucking because we're trying to make sure they're billing 6 hours a day and all that kind of nonsense. So it's sort of this three-pronged thing: the big innovative stuff, the brands, and then the execution. A number of times we've tried to cut the execution off, and it works, but the frustration that happens is these guys, unless they have a team that can execute, they get cut off at the pass. And you know how I feel about strategy that's not executed, like navel gazing, right?
Yeah.
I want to see the actual growth, and you can't see it if no one does it.
Yeah, sure.
So it's very important to have these guys. I just need a way for us not to deliver on every monthly engagement. And we do have like contractors and other folks that pay attention to that, but I'd like to formalize it more completely. And that's kind of what I would love to see happen over the next 18 months. And it would be awesome if one of our brands sold, or like, some of them are producing revenue, but nothing crazy yet. So I would love to close down what doesn't work and see something take off like a rocket ship.
Yeah, no, definitely. You can really see that you really love what you do as well, and you have like exception. You just keep saying like you have high standards. You only care about excellence. Do you know what I mean? Like it really shows that you really love what you do, and like you say, you have exceedingly high standards, and you don't care for anything that falls below par.
That is very true. I'm just saying it. For all you know, I'm like, on top of a garbage heap saying it, but I do mean it. I do really mean it.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's refreshing to see. Amy, if you could wave a magic wand and eliminate just one bottleneck in your business right now, or in business in general, what would it be and why?
I don't know if this counts as a bottleneck, but one of the things I hate the most is, and not to just beat a dead horse, but it's the companies that lie, whether they mean to or not. One of a huge disruptor to helping someone succeed is them being burned 40 times by someone who says they're going to help them succeed and doesn't really care. Another reason that I want that kind of like rockin' little agency is I'd like to point it at agencies that suck. I would like to abolish that as much as I possibly can. But that type of thing is a real problem. What is it that would help a company? I would propose that a company will be helped if they come work with Love and Science. But if they just worked with some other like cool brand, some other company that says they do things similar to what we do and they didn't get anything, then it puts me in a weird position, right? So I would like to get rid of the stuff. In my opinion, companies they should be allowed to be good at what they're good at. I want to see them succeed at what they're good at doing, and for them to have to become experts at what we do kind of sucks. I don't want them to have to lose energy over here instead of pointing it at the thing that they do the best. And I think because the industry has so many just kind of like fakers, you have, so much nonsense all the time. You got like phony SEO stuff, just nonsense everywhere. It creates a really crowded space that makes it difficult for people to decipher and actually move forward. And I want people to succeed because I genuinely believe that multiplying what they do will make the world a better place, and it will bring everybody up.
Yeah.
And I just think that's true, and that's like a huge motivator for me to if I can clean house, I would love to. I'd love to find a way to clean house.
Yeah, no, definitely. Especially like when you're trying to speak and you've obviously spoke to clients that have been burned by other companies, and then it almost like like you said, puts you in a weird space where you're then trying to, speak to them and tell them, no, it's not like that. But what I'm saying, where it's happened to them
Yeah.
before, it makes it exceedingly more difficult, I would say.
Yeah. We used to say it was like a prerequisite to have clients who'd been burned because it was so easy for us
Deliver.
to show them like a different universe.
Yeah.
But, that's only the people that we work with directly. And so when I think about the whole universe of companies and people trying to do something good in the world, trying to accomplish something, trying to hire people, trying to generate revenue, and I think about how many of them, like, we're not going to work with all of them. We can't. We don't want to. But that whole cesspool like drags everyone down, and I don't like it.
Yeah, no,
So
definitely.
I'd like to blow it up.
No,
Get it out
definitely,
of here.
definitely. I think a lot of business owners could stay exactly the same, on the same page as you, would be on exactly the same page as you. But Aimee, thank you for coming on. Great conversation, loads of insights. Could you just let my listeners and viewers know where they can connect with you online, please?
Yeah, the best thing to do is to just go to our website, loveandscience.com, and you'll find ways to connect to anybody through there.
Yep. Okay. Perfect. Well, that's all from us, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks, Stefan.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.